Well, Gail Benny's really on your own.
Never answered. You say you bought it the other day. Yeah, okay. Do we have another one downstairs? Yeah, steak and corn sounds good. I can go, I mean, and pick up a second steak and get corn. So, yeah, but I can go. Yeah, okay, good morning. By addition discussed under Roland and on. An article is heading to the October 16th special town meeting seeking permission to petition the state legislature to allow the town to enact its own bylaw regulating the use of pesticides. You should know.
Yes. Yes. What do you- Here's the thing. Yeah. Then there's the next, that doesn't work. Well, let's go outside, see if we can seal up the holes.
Right.
The last step. So, in this house. Are you gonna let them just chew your house down? You can't just say all things, and I don't disagree with you. Well, I don't know what level of pesticides they're talking about. Stay on. I'm just saying,
This isn't.
Our hope is that as we as a parish dig deeper into this project and work in it, that we too find that joy that Patrick was talking about. Such a project is not new to this parish. In 2008 and 9, led by the Outreach Committee, CHS raised both funds and volunteers
Oh, it's Doug.
for a habitat build on Gomes Way in East Harwich. Funds were raised by many varied activities. That was a big lift for the group at that time. They raised all the money, $55,000 that was raised and contributed on time for the build. And parish volunteers, some of whom are here this morning, were active in overall organizing and fundraising, others in hands-on building, leading weekly on-site devotions, and supplying snacks for workers. And as you'll see later on that round table back there, there are even more opportunities for you to volunteer. You don't have to, as Patrick said, use a hammer, know how to nail, or use a level or a saw. But if you can quilt, because the custom is to give a quilt to every home. And we have decided, since we have so many quilters in the parish, that maybe we could even give more than one to a home, could give one to each family member in the home. So that's just one area for them, some who are quilting. Is there anyone here who worked on that 2008? Tom is here. Brian is here. Jay Hawn is here. Yes. Who? Dillis? Where's Dillis? She's still outside, maybe. And Celia. Okay. It was just a typical Celia wave, kind of down here, kind of modest. In 2013, again, led by the Outreach Committee, CHS contributed funds for what's called the Apostle Build. And that was for one of the 5 homes built on Bevan Way here in Orleans. And again, that was a sizable sum. Again, in 2015, CHS contributed funds for another Apostles Build. So Habitat has been a part of this parish for quite a while, helping to secure affordable and workforce housing is in the DNA of this parish. Its history shows that it has always led from what some call a boldness in mission, responding to community needs. An interesting fact that I discovered reading some of the history, 54 years ago in 1969, I don't know if anyone here was in the parish at that time. 1969, 55 years ago. Nobody's going to admit to that anyway. And I'll quote, "The congregation decided to call the attention of the community to the need for low-cost housing for the many isolated widowed and single elderly individuals in the Mid-Cape area. The vestry created the corporation, prepared requests for funding, dedicated $1,000 to help finance the beginning of the work, while the rector, David White, drafted the warrant for town meeting." I just found that amazing, that the pastor, the priest, wrote the warrant that went to town meeting that created the Orleans Housing Authority and built the 60-unit Tonsett Woods in East Orleans, which is there today, and members of this parish have served on that board. So this morning, we're about to embark on another housing project, again lined with Habitat for Humanity, responding again to the need for affordable and workforce housing, which we know is so needed on the Cape. The genesis for the project was a conversation while visiting with the late Gilbert Merritt, a much beloved member of our church in this town. And during the visit, Gilbert said that he hoped that CHS would sponsor a Habitat build in Orleans, so that the sign out front of the build would have our name boldly listed as the sponsor. And all of that was said with that typical Gilbert grin and laugh. The idea was taken to the vestry, and in the summer of 2020, it was unanimously agreed to sponsor a Habitat build. I was delegated by the vestry to share the news with Gilbert, and the time was of the essence as he was nearing the end of his days with us. When the news was shared with him, he responded by clapping his hands with glee as tears ran down his cheeks. And then Gilbert, being Gilbert, said, well, not just me, but it has to also be in honor of my good habitat buddy, Nat. Nat Goddard. And it was done. So here we are. Land has finally been secured in Brewster. Funding has been secured by our parish, and we are off again to build a habitat house in honor of two longtime volunteers, Gilbert Merritt and Nat Goddard. Yeah, do it again. So now, Tara, it's your turn.
Hi, good morning. I just like to say I started at Habitat a few years ago, and it was my absolute pleasure to work with both Gilbert and Nat, and I love them. They were wonderful men, and when I started this job, I had to pinch myself every day at how much love I was surrounded by. I just met the coolest people I didn't even know existed. So this is a really life-affirming job for me. Every night I'm so happy that I feel like I make the world a little bit better of a place, and I get to work with people like you who are definitely making the world a better place. So thank you for that. And it was my privilege to know them. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about Habitat. I won't go too far into it, but our Habitat's been around for 35 years. We built 180 homes on Cape Cod, all over the Cape. And how we choose families, just a little bit about that, is a long application process. They have to meet our financial guidelines. They have to be able to build with us, and they have to need a house. It doesn't mean that they are homeless. It just means maybe their rent is $3,000 a month, or maybe, mom, dad, and kids share a bedroom at the grandparents' house. So there can be all kinds of needs. They have to have good credit, because they're going to get a mortgage and buy a house. So the houses that you're building, you're helped to build, I think those will be between $190,000 and $200,000, roughly. So they have to have the good credit to be able to buy that house. Now, these houses are always affordable. So, so after they, we narrow it down, we get down to, if 100 people apply, we'll get down to 15, 20 that truly qualify and have that good credit and need the house. And we actually put their names in a paint can and mix them up and pull, and that's how we choose families. So if you hear someone say they won the lottery, they won the chance to build and then purchase. So they'll build with us. So when you're on site building, the family who's going to live in that house will be there as well. So you'll get to meet them, and then at the end, they'll get a mortgage. The other thing I like people to know about Habitat is the houses are always affordable. So in the event that this family decides to sell, that's fine, good for them. They want to move on and move somewhere else. That house is always sold to another family that needs an affordable home. And they have to qualify in the same way. They'd have to have the good credit, they'd have to need a house, and there would probably be a lottery. And that's where I'd like to tell you a little personal story. So I've been with Habitat since 2017, and way before that, I worked for another nonprofit, and I had a little girl, and I had two other very small children, and I waited tables and worked at this nonprofit and had terrible cars and terrible apartments, kind of the story that you always hear. We moved a lot. It was really, really hard. We were just one of those families that just could barely make it on the Cape. A lot of winter rentals and rentals with mold and water issues, and I felt like all I did was work. I was gone every night, waiting tables and babysitting or cleaning, whatever I was doing. So just to illustrate how our life was. And then I Googled affordable homes on the Cape, and I saw an affordable house for sale. And I walked over to it, and I peeked in the windows, and I was like, I think I'm going to try to buy this house. And that was like a crazy notion for us, like that I could buy a house. But I did have good credit, and I had a good job history, and I bought that house, and that was a Habitat house. That was a resale. It was already built. And my children moved into this house, I moved into this house, and we put a fence up. We got a puppy, we got another puppy, we got a swing set, and we just have, it is an amazing, amazing difference in our lives. We would not be here without Habitat, and we would not be here without people like you that help build houses like that. And I was talking before, I mentioned a story to you that a couple of years ago, so my oldest has moved out and she's moved on, and I always talk to her and say, do you remember how hard it was? She remembers like all the cars breaking down and mommy always at work, blah, blah, blah. And the younger kids have such a different life. It is so different for them. I was swimming with them last summer, and I just remember we were looking up at the sky, and I was floating on a boogie board and having fun with them. And I said, do you know why your mom gets to hang out with you every weekend, all weekend, and swim and just have fun? We sleep in, we do picnics, we go hiking, we swim. Do you know why mommy is home every night? Because I have one job and we live in an affordable house. And you're really, really lucky to have that, because a lot of your friends, people that I know, their moms work 3 jobs and they're not doing anything fun. They're not having a family vacation. So it's not just about the house. It's the time and the love and the safety and all that goes with it when you have an affordable house. So that's just a little bit about us. And that was before I worked for Habitat. I saw the job for Habitat and I was like, oh, they built my house. I got to go work for them. And I went in and kind of told them that story and ended up working for them. And it's been the best 6 years. It's been the best, and I will never leave. So, and I will never leave my house either. So thank you all. Let's see, our next builds, just so you are aware, are going to be Dennis, Yarmouth, Wellfleet, Marston's Mills, and Falmouth. But I would like to talk about Brewster a little bit. So as you know, this build is going to be in memory of Nat and Gilbert. It's 2 3-bedroom ranches. It's land that it's just going to be a love. I feel like it's just going to be a build filled with love. The land was donated by a woman who lives there and said, here, have my backyard, put 2 houses there. I mean, how amazing is that? We're going to be building for about a year. We'll start in November and we'll probably be done about next September, October, November. The families haven't been chosen yet. They'll be chosen probably in about a week or 2, and you'll get to meet them. What we'll do is we'll have something called a kickoff event. And the kickoff is going to be at Brewster Baptist Church on Monday, November 6th at 4 p.m. And that's where you'd like to come. You're more than welcome to. You'll get to meet the families. They'll tell their story. They'll be completely overwhelmed because it'll be brand new news to them. And then we'll have what's called a wall raising. So the kickoff is it's a volunteer event. We're just telling the town and everybody in the town, hey, here's Habitat, here's the ways you can volunteer. Then we'll have a wall raising, and that'll be at the site. We'll push the walls up, and that'll be Saturday, November 11th at roughly 8 a.m. Probably going to want to be a little earlier than that, but I'll make sure you have all the information ahead of time. Everybody can come to the wall raising. You don't have to participate. You don't have to sign up for the day. Just come and again, meet the families, watch the walls go up, have coffee with us. It's a wonderful day. And then let's talk a little bit about the ways you can volunteer. So I know everybody always thinks about hammering, and if you want to hammer, you want to build, you sign up online. Typically, that's how volunteers sign up. You pick the days. It'll be Tuesday or Saturday or both. And you can sign up once or every single Tuesday and Saturday. It's really up to you. And if you don't have experience, we'll teach you. It's fine. We don't expect everybody to have experience. That's the great thing about Habitat is all walks of life. Everyone can come build with us. Don't have to swing a hammer if that's something that you don't want to do, or there's many other ways. As was mentioned, you can make a quilt for a family, and we can make a quilt for every single person who's in that house. That's a really nice thing to give them at we call it a dedication. When the house is done, we have a party, and the family again will get up and speak. You'll get to tour the finished homes, and we'll give them housewarming gifts, and a quilt or quilts will be part of that. You can also, I think this is really fun, and it's not a huge time commitment. You can come do registration in the morning. So every Saturday and Tuesday, somebody's there at 7:30 a.m. and they're like, hey, what's your name? Here's your name tag. Here's our safety rules. And that person stays until about probably 10 a.m. They make coffee and have a snack and go. So it doesn't have to be every Saturday or Tuesday. That can be something you sign up to do once a month, or come once and see if you like it. And that's the kind of thing with Habitat is you can just see if you like it and do it again, and you'll like it more and more, but there's no huge commitment. We know people travel. So You can do registration. It's needed every Saturday and Tuesday, but there'll be a schedule and you can do once a month. The same thing with snacks. We would love folks to make brownies or cookies or muffins. We're not huge into healthy like fruit. Everybody seems to want junk food. They want something sweet and sugary. And that's 10 a.m. They take a break and we serve snacks and everybody sits in a circle and chats and we have snacks and coffee. So you could make snacks once a month. Or as a church, you could say, we're going to do 2 days a month and we'll rotate who does it. However you want to do that to be involved, and you can come and spend time with us at snack time. And it's a really important part of our day. Also lunches, if you'd like to make a lunch, I've seen churches before. This was really nice. They brought crock pots in the winter and we all had chicken soup together. It was and they dressed like as elves and it was just really fun. So whatever we do, we'll make it fun. And you could do lunches once a month, whenever you want, all the time, or once during the build, however you'd like to do that. And that's a nice group activity. And I really think that's special when it's cold, because it's going to be cold and our volunteers will be there Saturday and Tuesday, no matter what the temperatures, they'll be building. Oh, another thing we can do is, this is for, you can be clergy or lay folks. We're always looking for someone to lead us in devotion at our snack break. I know Nat did this quite a bit. He was always leading our devotions for us. We take a 5-minute break to reflect on the work being done by Habitat and putting God's love into action. This is, you would talk. So you might do a prayer, you could sing a song, tell a story. It can be religious or not, whatever's in your heart that day. So you have 5 minutes to talk to the volunteers. And it's just a moment for us to all bond and kind of remember why we're there. And that again could be once a month or more. So that'll be every day at snack time. Volunteer to build. Okay, so I'm looking at my notes and so I thought another cool idea was we could do a team day for your church. So anybody who wants to can sign up online. You just go to our website and you'll see the days after the wall raising, you can sign up. But what would be fun for you is to do something as a group. We could take 10 or 12 of you together. We'd sign up ahead of time and you could all come and build together. That would be your day and you could work on your house. And we would take photos and have lunches and have snacks and just spend the day together. And that can be a really wonderful time for us all. And you will enjoy to meet the other volunteers and meet the home buyers. So we could do that maybe once or twice during the build. It is quite a bit to organize a team day. It sounds easy, but like you mentioned before, when you're working with a whole bunch of people, it takes a while to pick a day and get it organized and do it. But we can make that happen with a group. Another thought I had was, I was thinking we could hold some spots. We could pick a day together that would work for you, say the last Tuesday or the last Saturday of the month. And we would always hold some spots for your church. They would be reserved. And then whoever wanted to could take those 3 to 4 spots. So that would always be your day to come join us. So those are 3 kind of ways that you could all be involved in that actual building. And again, you just have to be 16 and up, and we will not make you do anything that you don't want to do. If you don't want to climb on scaffolding, we understand. If you can't put flooring in because your knees hurt, that's fine. They'll find something. So don't be afraid to sign up just because you don't have construction experience. The last thing we need is, we always need coordinators. So those are people who would be really good with email and calendars, and they would make a schedule. So we'll need 2 or 3 coordinators. So when I talk about devotions and coming and doing that prayer, someone actually makes that schedule, and it's not me. It would be someone who's doing it from home, and I could help. I could say, here's 30 people who would like to do devotions. Can you make a schedule? So that's a job someone can do from home, make a schedule, email it out to everyone. And then if I say it's a snow day, you would say, oh, okay, you cancel that person for the day. So we always need coordinators, and they don't actually have to be on the site. And I think that's kind of all the different ways we can volunteer. And I'd like to see if anybody has any questions for me about Habitat or about the build coming up or anything else.
Where is this new building?
It's on, it's called Phoebe Way. It's a new road, and it's on Red Top Road.
Right there.
Brewster. So it is in Brewster, and it's starting in November. So right now, actually, you could drive by. You have the address. I think it's 26 Red Top Road. You could drive by and take a look, and you could see the beautiful property. It's beautiful. The foundations are in, and there'll be volunteers there working behind the scenes. These are more highly skilled volunteers that are helping our construction, our staff, construction person, they're helping him get ready, building those walls so we can get them up. Yes, go ahead.
Who's your messages written on paneling or beams or something? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. We could do that here. Yeah. So sometimes we'll do, there's two different things. So we can do anything you really like to do. So we can do shingles. You can sign shingles ahead of time. We could have some brought to the church and you could do a signing day. And then when the house is built, they'll put those shingles up and those words of love. You can write anything you'd like on the shingles. You can write your name. You can write a prayer. We can also do that with the beams. What would be nice with the beams is if you come to the site and we do a team day when those beams are exposed, and you could have a day with the family, and then you can write all your messages and they'll forever be in that house. So two different options. I can bring some shingles here, we can sign them, or come to the site when the beams are exposed. We could do a team day or just visit, and we'll bring markers for everybody and you can write little words on there. And it's nice because like I said, I have a Habitat house, and when I saw that was really powerful for me because mine was a resale. I didn't know there was so much love in the house, and now I do. I know that there's messages and there's hope for the family that lived there and our family. It's all right in the walls, so we can make that happen. That'd be really nice, and you wouldn't have to sign up for a day. Maybe everybody just comes and signs some beams. Go ahead.
You need construction equipment?
Not really. We just tell everyone to bring closed-toed shoes. We'll serve snacks, we'll serve water, we'll serve coffee and lunch. We tell you to dress for the weather. And I think if you are a tool person, like if you have tools, you can bring your tools. You just probably would put some tape with your name on it if you have like a hammer you love and you don't want to lose it. But we have all the equipment everybody needs. So we don't expect people to show up with their tools. It's great if you do, but we don't expect it. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you for the warm welcome. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Before we pray, we thought we'd end our morning together with prayer, but I just, do you have any questions for us, Doug or Tom or myself, about our own participation? John?
I presume that as time passes, we will be given opportunities within the parish to do these things that were being discussed, these creative opportunities, and they'll be evident to us.
Yes, thank you for asking. And the way we're going to begin this, so Tara mentioned a lot of different options, one day a month, one day a week, etc. The most important thing you could do right now is look at those clipboards that are on the table right near where Tara and Jean are standing. And so take a look at those before you leave and put your name on there. Now, we're going to have those out and available for the next several weeks here. The shape of our participation, I think, is going to be governed by who begins to sign up to do different things. That shapes our ministry. So part of what we're about with these clipboards is assessing what our own capacities are. So we will participate in a way that is kind of shaped by your own expressed interests. Tony and then Tom.
What is the address which we follow to find out going
on? We'll get your, do you do email, Tony? Okay, so what I imagine we're going to do is off of those lists, we're going to build a distribution list that will be like a general habitat, and then we'll have sub lists based on who wants to do what. So we'll continue to pepper all of you with updates.
Sign up for this, not knowing exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, you know what I would do? I'd put your name on one of those clipboards, Tony, and then just put like a question mark, or put like flexible or curious or something like that. And then thank you. That's a really good point. You may not know which job you want yet. You might just, as Tony is, be in the position of wading in and exploring. So maybe we should have done like a general clipboard. But thank you, Tony. It's a great point. Tom. I think they can email me or the office. If you are on Zoom today, if you're dialing in remotely, You can also put something in the chat right now if you happen to be one of our Zoom participants, and we'll note that. But just come and see me, and I think you all know where to find me. So, Cheryl.
She said there was going to be 2 houses. Are the Baptists doing the other house?
My understanding is this is, and I think Tara, she actually, because of the death, she has to run to another engagement. But I think that Brewster Baptist is co-sponsoring. Tom may have more information than I do, actually. Yeah, why don't you feel this one? Thank you.
We were for some time looking for an opportunity to take our interest and put it to work. And initially we're looking in Orleans. There was nothing available in Orleans that we had a potential that fell through. And what we're doing here is there were 2 homes being built, and they both had a sponsor, a gentleman by the name of Sewell, who lives in Brewster, and he was sponsoring both of them. Habitat allowed us to become a co-sponsor of one of the 2. And so there's going to be a veterans build celebrating veterans, and one that's going to celebrate Gilbert and Nat. So we are co-sponsors of this event, and the other is private money that's there is sponsoring as well.
But how does it divide, Tom? I think this is an interesting question between the 2 houses.
We'll be one. Will be one house will be ours, and one will be a veterans build. So
But where's Brewster Baptist? Are you sure?
that they're not, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Meg.
Wondering, or to clarify, then the invitation to volunteers, it extends beyond church volunteers.
Thank you.
And Brewster Baptist congregation?
Yes. Thank you. You'll notice there's one clipboard that says fundraising. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. There's another one that says friend raising. So what we want, put your name down, because when you sign up for that thing that says friend raising, you're telling us that you know of other people who we can add to this distribution list. So that's how that's going to work. In other words, don't sign up someone that you know, but sign up yourself as their connection to our church, and we will include everyone. We will include everyone. Yeah, does that cover the question, Meg? Yeah, thank you. Money did come up, and as Doug mentioned, the vestry has allocated a certain amount. But what we would like to do also in the coming year is raise, as part of our current year contribution, $10,000 to supplement money that your vestry has already allocated for this. So we're going to be doing a separate series of fundraising events around this. So we will have an opportunity, even though there have been monies identified, we want to put something in of our own now. And that's the idea. So several of you have already come to me with some fundraising ideas, and we're going to have fun doing this. So more to come there. Yeah. Anything else? Brenda.
So just a comment on the chat. Gail Binney Stern says, have needles, will quilt.
Perfect. Oh, tell her thank you from everyone here.
I did.
Wow. I'm sure this family has no idea what's ahead of them when it comes to the quilts they're going to receive from all of you. You know, the other thing that's been mentioned, so some other ideas, there's a building clipboard back there, but there's also kind of a building furnishing clipboard. The idea was that bookcases were mentioned in our last meeting with Tara. There are other things we can do to furnish the home, other things we can make if some of you like to build at home or have a workshop or knock things together that are good, that have some duration and durability and heft. So if you're good at helping furnish a home, there's an opportunity there too, whether it's the things that you've made or selected. So not an opportunity necessarily to get rid of that thing you've always wanted to get rid of, but an opportunity to create something in a very coordinated, deliberate fashion with others. So I think that may be it. How we're going to end is I'd like to ask Elizabeth Merritt and Kathy Goddard to come forward. Please welcome them. So as Tara mentioned, and as so many of you have mentioned to me since I have been here, Gilbert and Nat were so instrumental, these guiding spirits. And I am jealous of all of you because you, many of you, knew these two gentlemen. Their deaths preceded my coming to be with you as your priest. But I feel them both around here, and I wish I knew them because people will I knew who was kind of grumpy about reply all on email and I just, these kind of quirky, that human stuff that makes us real to each other. These were two really vivid, deeply faithful, authentic people full of the love of God in their own completely unique ways. So thank you to both of you for sharing these people with us. And I'm mindful too that we are beginning our work with Habitat in the season of All Saints and All Souls. And as Christians, we're always mindful of all the living and all the dead and all who are yet to be. We live in that communion of saints. That's our deepest level of reality, is with past, present, and future, all of which are held in God's hands. So we remember Gilbert and Nat. We remember so many people who have lived and moved and have had their being here among you. Our money at this time of year, our money comes from people who are no longer here, largely. And our money will go to people who are not here yet. Do you follow me? So this is what we do together. And this is how we live in 3 dimensions at once. And as November comes and as the weather gets colder, our minds often turn to these people we love and see no longer. So will you pray with me now as we end our time together today? The Lord be with you. Let us pray. God of the vineyard, God of love, God of joy, God who has given us all we possess. We give you thanks for drawing us together into one body. We give you thanks for Elizabeth and Gilbert, Kathy and Nat, and all of your children who have loved you and worshiped you and loved each other here within these walls. Help us in this time to come to build new walls to shelter and protect people we do not yet know. Be with all of those on the Cape who are struggling to find shelter and food and stability. Help us always to remember your call through our baptism is to safeguard the dignity of every human person. Bless this work we now begin. Bless those it will benefit. Bless all the living and all the dead, and all who are yet to be. In your name we pray. Amen. Let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. I just, in my dream, like in heaven, maybe I'll have lunch with them.
I'll write them a little note and say, okay, would you mind to give that?
Thank you.